I'm going to go on air and say this. Walking is not an exercise.
Vaping is healthier than smoking.
Ice baths, I really don't think they help beyond the point. I was their on-field sports doctor. They have their own competition going on to make the top 11 players who make it to a cricket or a football team. Mental health is more important. This is coming from someone whose entire profession depends on physical health.
When I crack my knuckles, neck or joints, what exactly am I doing? Is it bad for my body?
6 to 8 hours of sleep is so underrated as a recovery tool. Using a foam roller, doing a 15-minute mobility routine.
What is the optimal sleep time? How does one sleep better and deeper?
Actual studies which speak about 4.5 hours being enough. Viral trend going now when it comes to fasting workout. I am personally very, very against.
Can you talk to me a little bit about what comprises good bone health?
We reach what we call a peak bone mass by the age of 30. To reduce the rate at which it declines will define how healthy and fit you are in your 50s and your 60s. If you are more than 20% of that ideal body weight, you are considered obese.
Can you share 5 practical tips for maintaining overall health?
Lift weights. Pay a lot more importance to your body composition rather than your overall weighing scale. Muscle is the only currency that will be worth unbelievable value once you cross 50. You are what you eat. Sleep is extremely underrated. Mental health is real.
Are there any sports where players tend to get more injuries than others?
Such a controversial topic.
If you're on Instagram, then you must have come across Dr. Manan Vora's reels about joint pain, healthy snacks, intermittent fasting, and so much more. An orthopedic surgeon and a sports medical doctor, Dr. Manan combined his love for sport with his legacy of being a doctor. He comes from a long line of doctors after all. This episode has everything, from insights into common injuries to recovery and bone health to practical tips. So tune in for some healthy gyan. Welcome to the Humans of Bombay show, Manan. Or should I call you Dr. Manan? Which way does it go?
Manan is great. I prefer
No, we'll call you Dr. Manan. Welcome to the Humans of Bombay show. I'm very fascinated with your journey and excited to chat with you today.
Thank you so much, Karishma. Thank you for having me and the entire team at Humans of Bombay. Excited for this.
I'm glad because my first question is that you have married the best of two worlds, which are very different. You are a doctor, but you've also had a very large passion towards sport. Yeah. You've played cricket and tennis at state and national levels. Of course, you come from a background of doctors. Your family has many doctors, but you have married the two and become a sports medicine doctor. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did that happen?
So, I've been drawn to sport from a very early age. My dad is turning 61 day after tomorrow. And he plays 3 hours of lawn tennis every morning.
Wow.
He runs the marathon every year. And he got me into sport really early on. So I picked up my first cricket bat and my tennis racket when I was 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah.
And I just took an instant liking to it. Probably had a little bit of genetic sporting skill in me.
Yeah.
And I've always been ahead of everyone else my age group. So I started winning all these competitions and events under 6, under 8, under 10, under 12. And it just really, brought so much happiness in me. On the other side, I come from a complete medical background. So my dada, my nana, all their kids, all doctors.
Wow.
All have married doctors. And my sister, me, all of us in the medical line. So I ended up picking the academic background, ended up picking medicine. And then when I started medicine, I really took a liking to orthopedics, which involves your legs, your arms, your spine.
Yeah.
And those are the parts of the body that get most injured when you're an athlete.
Correct.
So that's how the direction went towards orthopedics. And then after pursuing orthopedics, I went on to specialize in sports medicine, treating athletes, treating sports injuries. Now also a majority of my practice revolves around treating people who have gym injuries or issues that come up with people who try to work out a lot and things like that. So it's really been a nice amalgamation of sports, health, fitness, and now what my profession is in sports medicine.
So let's talk about recovery, because that's such an important aspect for a lot of people, whether it's in the gym or like sport or whatever, right? Like dealing with that physical pain, and especially like you mentioned earlier, there are some people who really love gymming or who really love playing a sport, and then you can't do that for some time. Apart from rest, what are some of the general themes you would say that assist in the recovery of your body?
Got it. So again, there's a lot of new things that have come in. The one very recent one, which is being used a lot on social media is ice baths. I don't know if you've come across a lot
I
of
have,
videos.
course. So I do that for my face.
Okay.
Before the shoot or whatever, but I've never really done an ice bath because I'm one of those, even if it's boiling outside, I need hot water to shower.
Same. I'm
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
I can't even bathe in regular temperature.
Yeah.
Forget cold. So regular. So again, with ice baths, I really don't think they help beyond a point. Yes, for immediate muscle recovery, it can help you a little, but that a basic cold shower can help you as well. So I'm pretty against most of these newer trends that have come in.
They're like super gimmicky.
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
The number of brands I've had to reject because I'm literally in this space and, I just don't believe in them. But, even when it comes to the massage guns, even when it comes to these ice baths, most of these things are okay, fine for an acute thing, but it's not really helping you in the long run. Yes, there are a couple of things that I would definitely recommend. One is using a foam roller because that is really going to take away all the tension in your muscles and help in the longer run. I know people who are actually calling a masseuse once a week for a massage. Now, after that massage, you feel excellent. In 3 days, again, your muscles are going to get tight. You're going back to stage 1. So what I would recommend for recovery is an alternate day full body foam rolling. And on the other set of alternate days, doing a 15-minute mobility routine, especially your shoulder mobility, your thoracic mobility, your hip mobility, and working on some basic dynamic stretches and movement patterns, which really open up your joints and help you move better, get you ready to work out again and help you in that recovery. Apart from this, honestly, 6 to 8 hours of sleep is so underrated as a recovery tool. You don't need the newest guns and the ice bath. You don't need to put yourself through all of that. It's often the simpler and the more basic things that actually do you a lot more good. So yeah, those are the basics I would recommend.
So when it comes to sleep, 2 questions again. The first, what is the optimal sleep time? There are so many debates about it, saying some say 8 hours, some say 6 hours is good. A, what is the optimal time? And B, how does one sleep better and deeper? Hi guys, I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. Do let us know what you think down in the comments. We always read what you have to say. And on that note, I want to fill you in on something really exciting that we're building at Humans of Bombay. So you guys know, we've mastered the art of storytelling for the past 10 years. And you have trusted us to tell your story. So now it's time for us to empower you. So me, along with 5 other experts, have curated a course for just that, where you learn how to tell your story in different settings. So it's called How to Tell Your Story, and the course is live now. You can check it down below in the link or even on the pop-up here. And with that, let's get back to the podcast.
Optimal sleep hours, I'm going to leave it at a range and say 6 to 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even if you're at 6, you're good.
You're absolutely good.
Okay.
You're absolutely good. You won't believe there's actual studies which speak about 4.5 hours being enough.
No
There's actual
way.
studies which say that. Of course, there are contrasting studies which say something else. I think after reading all the literature I've come to the conclusion of 6 to 8 being a range. I've also come to a conclusion that there is no fixed amount for each person. So if your body's set to a particular routine, there's nothing like it. Okay, so there is a circadian rhythm present in our body. If we respect that, the number of hours can fluctuate between 6 to 8. It's more so the routine that you set your body in. So if you're focused on consistency, like if you're sleeping between 11 to 11:30 p.m., for example, try to get that every night. Like that is more important than ensuring you get between 6 to 8 also. So for
Setting
example,
your body clock effectively?
exactly.
Yeah.
I'd say rather focus on that, because not only are your energy levels dependent on that routine, but also your nutrition throughout the day. So when you exactly feel hungry, when you even go to the toilet in the morning, all of that depends on the time you sleep and wake up. Again, I'm not getting into a completely separate debate is you should sleep before 10 p.m., you should wake up before 4 a.m. I'm really not a fan of that. I myself sleep 12:30 to 7:30 or sometimes 1:30 to 8:30. So I'm not the right person to preach you should sleep before midnight and all of that. I'm not too much into that. What I would recommend is follow 6 to 8 hours and try to get that routine in.
But for people like me, for example, I travel a lot.
What's your usual sleeping time?
Between 11 and 12. or like 10:30 and 11:30. That
For a second, I thought you sleep 11 to 12 hours a day. I said, wow,
No,
life's
no,
good
no,
for you.
No, it's really not. PM.
Yeah, PM, of course.
Yeah.
So, and you wake up at just
6:30.
6:30. Yeah. So my suggestion would be that in case you end up taking a late flight in or you're flying somewhere and you end up sleeping at 1:30, you ensure you wake up at 6 still.
That's what happens
Yeah.
because my eyes open.
Your eyes open,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
at least you're doing the right thing there.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I used to feel like maybe I should sleep longer
No,
to cover up that.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Take that night, wake up at 6, get through your day, try to get back to your routine the next night. That's 100% the best way to go about
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Understood. Okay. And in part 2 of that question, how does one sleep deeper?
So sleep deeper is, a completely separate discussion about REM and non-REM sleep, of course. What we can do, few things have been researched and, there have been a few points that have come up. One, definitely screen time is something that all of us are, used to. I thank everyone for watching Reels because I wouldn't be here opposite you if they didn't. But obviously there's a limit to how much you can keep your phone with you till the second your eyes are closing, because that's literally what everyone's doing right now. They're lying down using their thumbs, scrolling either YouTube shorts or Reels, and then just dropping off. So that is definitely, one thing in terms of trying to keep your gadgets away at least an hour or two, before that. That's one thing. Secondly, people have found calming, soothing music or guided meditation to actually help them. This has actually been researched as well. It's not just from an opinion point of view. I've tried it myself as well. And, you get these really good apps now with playlists. You just get on these guided sleeping meditation for like 15 minutes. And before the audio ends, you're probably already put off to sleep. It's really good.
What is the app?
You've got Calm, which has
Calm,
got
yeah.
really good guided
Reviews,
meditation. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's one which I personally used and recommend. And then there's other things which are very subjective, right? So some people really like journaling. Some people really like listening to some other music for that matter. Some people just like being by themselves. There frankly isn't a one-size-fits-all routine that just helps someone, but all of them will actually go towards having a decluttered mind as much as possible. So if you're constantly on your phone, the kind of stimulus that you're getting, like let's say you watch a video and it makes you think about something, so you're letting your mind get cluttered with that thought. So obviously if you try and keep most of those things away, your mind will try and be as free as possible. Of course, it's easier said than done. I myself, before sleeping, I'm thinking about the next day, what I need to achieve, what I need to do, the various people I need to coordinate with. So it's not like I'm in an ideal situation when it comes to that. But the idea is to find those routines to get yourself to be as decluttered as possible, and then just create an environment around you. Of course, when it comes to light stimulus, you're going to have a dark room. When it comes to sound stimulus, you're going to try and have no noises coming around you. These are obviously basic things. But yeah, these are the various aspects. It's not rocket science beyond that.
Yeah. The second part of this question was, are there any basics of nutrition that we can follow that contribute to recovery?
Such a controversial topic anytime we discuss nutrition, because you have people from all spectrums. So I'm going to keep it very basic. When it comes to recovery, the only thing I will recommend overall is to ensure your protein intake is good and ensure you're getting a good amount of antioxidants, a good amount of fiber. If you have that going for you, overall, your nutrition will be pretty stable. I know this is very generic advice, I know, but I'm trying to be on the safe side when I say that. The other very important thing I like to focus on is your pre and post workout nutrition. So when it comes to before your workout, what you consume, when it comes to after your workout, when you consume, I know there's a very viral trend going now when it comes to fasting workouts. Like people are waking up in the morning and they are in a state of fast because they've not eaten for the last 6 to 8 hours. And they're promoting working out on an empty stomach for better fat loss. So there's a lot of experts who are promoting that, something I am personally very, very against and I don't really promote. I think you need a good source of a good carbohydrate and a good amount of protein before your workout and a good source of protein right after your workout. So if you have these things, in place, I think the wear and tear that your muscles have gone through during the workout, it really helps their repair and recovery.
Okay. Let's get into the next segment, which is bone health. It's discussed very frugally, bone health in general. So can you talk to me a little bit about what comprises good bone health versus bad bone health?
Yeah. The reason it's discussed in that particular way is because it is something that is usually faced after the age of 40.
Okay.
And we have mainly the Gen Z millennials on social media. So it's something that is not as close to fascinating as skincare and hair care routines. I wish I could talk about that. I would have had a lot more followers by now. But this is one reason why we don't really hear much about it on social media, because the age group consuming it is not really facing bone and joint issues yet. Yeah, they have a lot of muscular issues like neck pains, back pains because of their lifestyle, because of their working hours at a desk. But bone and joint is something usually in the older age group they face it. So to get a brief idea of bone health, we've got what we call bone density, which is how strong your bones are, or the amount of minerals that are there in your bone. Now we reach what we call a peak bone mass by the age of 30. So when you're 30, the amount of bone density that you will have will be at its peak. After 30, it's just going to decline at 30. Like from 30 onward. Now, what can you do to reduce the rate at which it declines will define how healthy and fit you are in your 50s and your 60s.
Okay.
And that decision is what each individual needs to make at 30 or before 30, because it's just going to be a compounding effect. While it's never too late to make those changes, even at 40, 45, 50, obviously if you start earlier, the benefits are just compounding over time. And that is something most people neglect, and they realize when it's too late. That is something that people need to realize at 30 or before 30.
So what does one do?
What does one do is extremely simple. Literally lift weights. When I say lift weights, I literally mean go to the gym and lift weights. I'm not talking about yoga, Pilates, Zumba, and whatever else is going on. I'm not against any different type of physical activity. It's great that you're doing that instead of nothing. But the only way to actually ensure your bone density doesn't decline at the rate at which it was intended to if you didn't do anything is to add resistance, and by lifting external weight, because that's the only way you're going to make your bones and joints stronger. And this is something that people just ignore. They think gymming is about becoming bulky. It's about having those big muscles and having a particular image in mind. And if you don't want that image, doing this is okay. So what you do for yoga, fine. Do your yoga, do your Zumba, do your cardio. People think walking is an exercise. When I ask patients that, what do you do for exercise? They say, I go for a walk. I said, tomorrow you'll tell me you're breathing also. That's also an exercise. No, breathing is also burning calories. You're driving a car. That's also burning calories. I'm sorry. I'm going to go on air and say this. Walking is not an exercise. Walking is a functionality of life. You're walking because you want to get from place A to place B. So you're walking just the way you're breathing. So I personally do not count walking as an exercise. Even if I get a lot of hate for this, I don't mind. You need to do something more than walking. You need to ensure your heart rate gets up. Your blood is flowing all through your body. Fine, go for a jog, go for a run. That's exercise.
Yeah.
Is that an ideal form of exercise? It's not, because I still think that's cardio, which is great for your heart, but that's not good enough for your bones and muscles, for which external weight is required. So fine, I respect yoga, great for flexibility, mobility, stability, balance, proprioception, excellent. Excellent, please do it. Great for Zumba form of cardio, you're forming a community, you're dancing with other people, you're doing that, it's okay.
It's happy hormones.
It's great, It's excellent, please do it. But lift weights for 1 hour and then go do it.
Yeah.
Or lift weights thrice a week, go for Zumba 5 times a week. I'm not saying stop anything. I respect all sorts of physical activities, except walking. But please lift weights. Of course, there's other points which are ensure you're consuming enough calcium and vitamin D3. But then in general, I'm assuming nowadays the awareness is there to eat healthier, whole foods, nutritious foods, ensure you're getting your minerals and vitamins in. And the next thing is, of course, to avoid alcohol and smoking. Easier said than done. Everyone's doing it. But the impact on joint health, as it has an impact with the rest of the body, is significant. But the main takeaway from this is lift weights. That's it.
Okay, good. That's actionable.
Yeah.
So according to you, in the context of everything that we've explained, what are the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to their bone health or their bone density? I'll assume that not working out or not lifting weights is one of them. Anything outside of that people can avoid doing?
So I think one thing we haven't harped upon is obesity. because I think today it is being neglected, a lot more. When I say that is, let me define obesity to you. Okay, let's say based on your height, based on your age, based on your gender, you have a particular amount of weight you want to be at. Let's say that is 70 kgs. Okay. If you are more than 10% of that weight, for example, if you are more than 77, you are considered overweight. That is the definition. Okay. And if you are more than 20% of that ideal body weight, which is 84, you are considered obese. This is the medical way of calculating obesity. Today, if someone is 20% more than their weight, walks in to me as a patient, they will not look obese. Because 20% is theek hai. But I have to tell them, I'm sorry, you're obese. And they need to understand
why
you're obese and the fact that you are obese. Because till then, they never thought they are obese. Because in our minds, obesity is someone who has a waist of probably 46 or something like that. Like that's the picture you have in your mind. That because we use terms like, is this person thin or is this person fat? These are the terms that are being thrown in a layman's word.
It's a visual context.
It's a visual context. Whereas I am talking of an actual body composition context. So what we do, especially to check for bone density and their body composition, is a DEXA scan. This is something that I would really recommend everyone gets done. It's got very, very low levels of radiation. Have you ever got a DEXA scan done?
No.
You really should. Okay. The reason I tell you that is because obviously you visually come across as someone who's lean.
Yeah.
But when you get a DEXA scan done, it's going to tell me exactly how much of your body has muscle, how much of your body has fat, and the fat that you have is distributed in which areas of your body. So I have seen patients who visually look extremely lean and who go to parties and other aunties will tell them, "Tu to badi fit hai." Like that's the line they'll tell them. But they're probably not as fit because the body composition scan or a DEXA scan tells me exactly how much of muscle and fat they actually have. And you'll be surprised that they probably have 65% muscle and 35% fat. But because their overall weight is less, that 35% fat also gives them a lean appearance.
Yeah.
But a cut section of your entire body has shown that you're carrying 35% of fat, which is really not cool. You should probably be around 20 to 25%. And you should have 75 to 80% muscle.
Wow.
So that understanding of who's actually overweight and obese has to move from a visual perception to an actual analysis of someone's body composition, which is why everyone needs to get a DEXA scan done probably once in 2 years at least, irrespective of your age. I do it once in 6 months. It's got an extremely low level of radiation, but it helps me track my fitness journey. So I know if I'm putting on more muscle or I need to change my nutrition program based on that.
Very interesting.
And it also gives me an exact idea of my bone density.
Yeah.
And there's a direct correlation with overweight and obesity, obviously damaging your bones, damaging your joints over the long run. So while not exercising is a completely separate thing, it is an understanding of being overweight and obesity and a body composition and acting towards that, which is something people need to keep in mind for their bone density as well, or overall bone and joint health.
Very interesting. I wasn't expecting this answer, and I don't even think I know what this test is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a basic scan that takes 10 minutes. You lie down on a machine, an X-ray scanner just goes and it gives you a beautiful report on what's actually inside your body. It's eye-opening.
You've helped athletes, obviously, and when it comes to athletes, recovery is such a strong component of how quickly can you do it, right? Basis just the fact that you have to go out there and perform. Like when you injure yourself in a gym, typically you can afford being like, okay, I can just relax and take it easy. But with an athlete, I mean, of course you give your body the time to relax, but the urgency to get back is far larger. Can you tell me some anecdotes or experiences that you've had with certain athletes and how that has manifested into whatever has happened, either in a good way or a bad way?
Yeah. So the thing with athletes is they're made of a completely different gravy, because for them, if they are not on the field, if they are not playing, they're not, if I can even go far and beyond and say they're not mentally at their best, because that's the only thing they've been doing over the years. So whether it is their training routine, whether it is their workout routine, whether it is their on-field sport activity, if an injury keeps them away from that, they're not in a state of mind that really is optimal. So when I actually have to tell them that I'm sorry, you can't get back to this for 3 weeks, or in some cases 3 months, or if they need surgery and a prolonged rehabilitation 9 months, can you imagine what they're mentally going to be going through?
Yeah.
Because you're telling them to stop doing the only thing they're probably good at and the only thing that gives them that purpose of life. So if you and I get injured and I tell you, I'm sorry, you can't go to the gym and you can't work out for 3 weeks, you're going to be like, okay, I'm still going to work. I'm still doing my day-to-day life. I'm still doing everything else.
Yeah.
But if I have to tell an athlete that, I need to manage them psychologically as well, mentally as well. So for them, each day and each week is far more crucial compared to the regular patient or the regular person that we otherwise come across, or the recreational athlete or the recreational gymmer. So that is the main focus in how do we keep them, mentally ready and tell them that this has happened to you. This is something you're going to have to go through. This is something you're going to have to overcome and actually defeat this and come back stronger.
Yeah.
And if they're not in that state of mind, their entire recovery and rehabilitation process can get hampered, which affects them, especially in team sports. Because now that they are out, someone else has taken their place. So
Correct.
I spent an entire year with Punjab Football Club. I traveled with the team. I was their on-field sports doctor for an entire year. So I actually got to experience their emotions before a game, in the middle of the game, how their performance will decide whether they make the team in the next week's game or not. And then if you get injured, you know that you've been so desperate to perform and make a point, and now you can't for 3 weeks. Someone else is going to take your spot.
Yeah.
And then when 3 weeks get over, do you get back into the team or not? So
It's such a difficult position to be in.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So they have their own, they have to work as a team for the club and the fans and everyone, but they have their own competition going on between that, because they all are fighting with each other to make the top 11 players who make it to a cricket or a football team.
It's only 11 players.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's really wild, but it is what it is. They knew that coming into this profession. They knew the battles and the struggles that would come. They knew that injuries are part and parcel of the game and something they'd have to deal with.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get people coming out stronger and wanting to prove a point. You get people who go into a shell and need a lot more help. We have sports psychologists then having a word with them, counseling them on how they can deal with it. So the mental aspect is extremely different. Whereas for you and I getting injured, okay, I'll take my own sweet time to get back. So that's, I think, one place, because I've been semi-professional athlete till the age of 16, I at least understand competition. I understand even the emotions of jealousy and envy that come with someone else going ahead of you.
Yeah.
So I can at least speak to them with that point of view and help them in whatever way possible.
Yeah,
so I
the
think
experience
that
helps.
Me.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah. So that was actually my next question. How important is mental stamina, right? There's so much about the correlation between your mental health, your physical health, your strength. It's both, right?
Yeah.
It can't just be that, okay, I'm going to focus on my recovery, do my exercises, do whatever it is for the recovery process, and mentally I'm stuck in a shell, like you mentioned. From a scientific lens, how are the two correlated? How are the two worlds correlated?
So there's a lot of opinions on this, and most of them lean towards saying that mental and physical health are equally important. I'm going to go one step further, and this is coming from someone whose entire profession depends on physical health rather than mental health, and say that mental health is more important.
Yeah.
Because the chances of anyone, whether it's you, me, an athlete, being in a state of normal or optimal mental equilibrium, being able to perform to a good level physically, is far more than someone who's physically not at a good level, but is mentally okay. So I feel that anyone, if they are not in a state of being totally okay mentally or up to a certain level, they're not really going to be able to perform physically. They're not going to be able to move towards their physical health goals. Because let's face it, I mean, in today's day and age, if you're extremely stressed, if you're feeling, a very low mood, you don't feel like doing something, the chances of you actually going out and doing something for your physical health it's very, very unlikely. Because let's face it, not everyone enjoys exercise. Not everyone enjoys gymming per se. Yes, there's a lot of people who love lifting and they do it at another level. There's a lot of people who love playing a sport and they use that when they are extremely mentally stressed. But for the majority of people, if you are going through a lot of stress, if you're overworked, if you have relationship issues, financial issues, it's very unlikely that you're going to be like, oh, let me put this aside for the next 3 hours and let me go and do that. So that's where your physical health really is dependent on your mental well-being at that particular point. Similarly, when we speak about physical health, we have to speak about what you eat, what you consume. The chances are very low that when your feeling, let's go out and even say the word depressed or extremely anxious, you're going to eat extremely healthy. So you're probably going to find a way to find that comfort food, probably binge on the fried food, on the oily stuff, on the sweets. Again, it's going to hamper your physical health, but you wanted to consume that to get that little instant gratification while you are mentally not optimal. So that's how interlinked they are, in the sense that if you want to achieve your physical health goals, if you really want to progress towards a destination that you've set in your mind, for you to be mentally all right is going to go a really long way. And I go with that opinion very strongly, that I feel mental health is a lot more important than physical health, for sure.
Yeah, your body kind of follows the mind. Like if you're set in your thought process that I have to do this, just that one sentence and that intention is so powerful that it kind of sets the tone for the holistic well-being.
Yeah.
Okay. So we move on to our next segment. It's called Ask the Expert. So we're going to give you hypothetical situations that people may have, and what would your solution be, or what would your answer be generally? So I'm a 25-year-old girl and I hate going to the gym because no matter how long I train or what I do, my muscles stay sore for days after. What do I do to help with the soreness?
Okay. So one thing that I would as a doctor do is ensure your vitamin D3 and B12 levels are optimal. Because irrespective of what you do, if these aren't, you're still going to feel weak. You're going to get random muscular pains. So I would definitely get a vitamin D3 and vitamin B12 done, and do an entire nutrition recall to ensure you are consuming enough protein, which is actually important for your muscle recovery. And definitely encourage foam rolling, and make sure that you are not training same muscle groups on consecutive days. So if you're doing like a chest and tricep on Monday, you're giving your chest and triceps a break on Tuesday, and then going on upper body or chest again on Wednesday. So these are the few points I would look at to holistically treat the patient.
Okay. When I crack my knuckles, neck or joints, what exactly am I doing? Is it bad for my body?
It's not. Crack away all you want. It's not going to make any difference. I know there's a video that's gone viral very recently which talks about it being very harmful. I completely disagree with it. They're just gas bubbles in your joints. And when you extend your joints, I just cracked mine. I hope you got that.
Yeah.
You're just bursting those bubbles.
Okay.
And it's completely harmless. It doesn't damage your bones and joints in any way. If the cracking of your joints causes you pain or restriction of that joint movement, for example, a knee cracking is harmless if it doesn't cause me pain and doesn't stop my knee movement. But if it's stopping my knee movement, like my knee's locked, I can't go beyond this, then there could be a minor tear of any ligament or tissue within that joint that is obstructing that knee from moving. And that is not a cracking of that joint, but it's a snapping of that ligament on the bone, which is when there is another issue which we need to address. But as long as you are pain-free, you're just cracking it just like that, crack away all you want.
Yeah, because there was such a huge debate about arthritis and cracking your knuckles.
Absolutely false, please.
Okay. I'm in my 30s and not too physically active, but I find that I'm still very prone to injury. What can I do to prevent more of these injuries?
So what this individual needs to do is focus on conditioning. There's a reason why athletes do SNC. It's called strength and conditioning. So what conditioning does is it works on all the other aspects rather than strength. So it's very important to work on your shoulder mobility, on your hip mobility, on your ankle stability, on your knee range of motion. So what this does is it not only opens your joint capsules more, it helps you move better, it helps you feel better, and it strengthens all the ligaments around your joints, which will make your workout a lot better and the chances of you facing an injury much less. So focus on conditioning.
Okay, understood. Are there any sports where players tend to get more injuries than others?
Basketball, because you are jumping and landing. So ankle injuries most common in basketball. Football, when it comes to your knee ligament injuries and hamstring issues. So these two, 100% way more. Talk about the common sports that are played.
Yeah. The probability is higher.
Probability is higher compared to like a cricket or a table tennis. Far, far less. Again, in cricket, fast bowlers very prone to injuries compared to batsmen. But yeah, basketball and football definitely amongst the more commonly played sports in India.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about now content creation and the fact that everybody has agency, right? Like you can put a camera, you can put a mic, and you can speak about certain topics, and there's misinformation. Like you just mentioned, there's a reel that has gone viral about cracking knuckles and it's dangerous for you. You're here telling me that it's not. So how do you verify this information?
Very difficult to verify it because it's not like social media is asking people to put up their qualifications or their degrees or their backgrounds. And I don't think even that would help because we have a lot of scientific debates in our own communities. Like, for example, all my orthopedic conferences are actual panel discussions on how to treat a particular issue, and you'll always have a for and against. So that's how science actually advances. Only when you have contrary opinions and then someone forms an hypothesis, someone tests it, someone does a research study, and then they publish it in a peer-reviewed journal. That's how an opinion is translated into evidence-based literature. So to find only a right or a wrong is not only impossible in an orthopedic or a medical community conference. And here we are talking about social media, where today absolutely anyone who's not related to medicine or science is probably a health coach or a life coach or a well-being coach. And they can just pick up the camera, Google whatever they want, and take an opinion that they found made sense to them and start talking about it.
But that doesn't make it right.
Again, how can I say that, right? Because tomorrow someone's going to have an issue with something I say. So it's going to be always going to be controversial. What I will say is that the consumer needs to understand that social media, especially when it comes to health information or even when it comes to something like finance, is great for education and awareness. And if you learn as a consumer to draw a line there, you'll really benefit from it. For example, tomorrow, if I'm talking about a particular condition on social media, you don't need to act upon it. You need to understand it, then do your own reading, or probably visit your doctor and tell them that I heard about this and I really watch this person online. I think they're credible. Can you tell me more about it? Or what should I do and what should I change in my life to actually use that advice?
Correct.
So that's the right way to go about it. But if you take someone's advice and use it therapeutically because they have put it out for virality and you think one size fits all, then there are chances that you're using it negatively and it may actually not work out for you.
Correct.
So I would not really worry too much and focus on trying to stop people from putting content. And this is coming from someone who's currently also pursuing his PhD. So I'm 13 years post 12th standard and I'm still studying and getting degrees. So I would probably be on the other end of the spectrum saying that no, only qualified people should do it. I'm really not saying that. Let everyone do whatever they are doing. As a consumer, you can be educated. And I would much rather change the mindset of the consumer than try to stop other professionals from putting content, which I feel they are not experts in.
Right. Understood. Okay. So now we'll go into a little bit of a practical advice. Can you share 5 practical tips for maintaining overall health and well-being that people can easily incorporate into their routines?
Okay. Number 1, and I'm going to always put this at the top, is lift weights. There is no question about it. Okay. If you're not lifting weights, something seriously wrong with you. After this podcast, if you're still not lifting weights, I don't know how to help you. Number 2, pay a lot more importance to your body composition rather than your overall weighing scale, which is where something like a DEXA scan comes in. Understand how much muscle you have in your body. Muscle is the only currency that will be worth unbelievable value once you cross 50. The more muscle you have, the better your lifespan and your health span will be. That's 2. 3, you are what you eat. Absolutely. That statement cannot be given more importance. The way you feel, the way you move, the way you look, and the way you keep diseases away only depends on what you eat. Please give it importance. Number 4, sleep is extremely underrated. 6 to 8 hours, you need to find a way to get that in because it's also going to hamper with your productivity. And number 5, mental health is real. Do try and understand where you can improve upon your mental health. Do try and understand what the basic red flags are of a mental health disorder. And also try and not be worried too much about the stigma about it. Seek help if needed. That's your 5 points.
Okay, fab. Let's go to the next one. How does one include physical activity seamlessly or easily into their life to avoid the problems that come from physical inactivity? Say you're not able to go to the gym, and we understand your viewpoint on walking, so that's ruled out. So what can one do?
So let's say we're discussing employees who spend 8 to 10 hours in offices, okay, or 10 to 12 hours in offices. Obviously, these are the guys who are also probably in urban cities. They're traveling for a lot of time. So the chance of them going to a gym and actually working out is far, far lesser. So let's discuss basic tips that they can do even during their office hours. Now, one thing even for business owners, something that I will recommend, and you're here as one of them, is to actually have treadmills or treadmill pads placed in the office in one corner. You get them very cheap on Amazon, 20-30K they come for. And you can actually have these high desks where they can place their laptops or they can place their phones on a stand and take their Google Meets or anything while they are walking. So this is a pretty cool way to at least get in your cardio, because if you can't lift weights, at least try and get in the cardio. Second thing, even if that is not possible, basic thing is to try and avoid the lift as much as possible. I believe you all are on the 3rd floor over here.
Yeah.
I think everyone should stop using the lift unless they have a ankle or knee injury certified by me. Then only they can use the lift. So we need to start that. Okay, so at least if they climb 3 flights of stairs, that is something. But obviously, it's impossible when your office is on the 25th floor, but it's on the 3rd floor. So it is something that they can incorporate. The other thing, which is also very underrated, is not to spend hours and hours at your desk. So even if you are having an 8 to 10 hour desk job, try and get up once every hour, take a walk, stretch your joints. That's the basic you can do. Mobility.
Correct.
So absolutely the basic. You know, give your eyes some rest, take a glass of water also, so overall it can really help. Beyond that, even if you can't go to a gym, I mean, you do have your body weight to do body weight exercises at home. So that is something you can start off with at least 20 minutes a day. One basic tip could be like there's so many workout along with us YouTube videos that you can refer to and do 20 minute body weight workouts. If someone can invest even in basic dumbbells, lighter dumbbells, it's not a very big expense. You can work out yourself. I don't know if you want me to go to the other extreme and say the office should have a 100 square feet area gym for your employees to go and take a 30-minute workout.
My office is in Bombay. I cannot afford the real estate. I'm so sorry.
That is a very far-fetched demand, but hopefully someday if employee well-being
Government should give it. Government should sanction 100 square feet to every business owner. Done.
Yeah, but I dream of that one day when employee well-being reaches a point that there's a mini gym in every office, especially ones which have space. But yeah, that is probably asking for too much. But yeah, basic changes and home workouts, even if you can't make it to the gym, definitely something. If someone has the will, they'll find a way to do it.
Okay. We spoke a lot about mental and physical synergy. What is that one thing that you would recommend people to improve that connection between mind and body?
So I would like to focus on stress levels and overall work fatigue and burnout, because ultimately we're addressing people who are either students or working professionals. I think recently you must have heard the news about the Zerodha founder having a health issue as well. And he's so fit. He's so fit. Again, it is, we don't realize in our constant desire to grow personally or for our work to grow. So whether it is students trying to excel at an exam or an entrance or get admission somewhere, or all of us trying to exceed in our individual careers and try to be better than the other person, we don't realize how that piles up and takes a toll on our body and all the organs of our body. And that's what kind of drives disease to us. So I'd like to definitely speak about stress levels and overall work fatigue, finding ways to avoid burnout. Now, this can again go into two directions, whether an employee can find ways to reduce work burnout or whether a manager or a business owner can help their employees ensure that they are not as burnt out as they should be. But keeping those levels in check, I know it's a very qualitative way of saying keep your stress in check. It's not like a blood report, right? I tell you to get a blood test and you give me a report with a normal value range and I know whether it's normal or abnormal. It's not like that. But find ways to de-stress, take a break whenever you can, indulge in activities that bring you happiness, foster good relationships, take rest, recover, ensure your stress levels are in control to ensure your body supports you the way you would like to support.
Okay. Let's go into the next segment, our last actually, which is myth busting. I'm just going to tell you some of the things that people believe and are they true or not. Vaping is healthier than smoking.
It's not. It's equally bad.
It's equally bad. It's not worse, but it's equally bad.
It's equally bad.
Okay.
It's not worse because I consider cigarette smoking as the bottom tier of horrible things to do. So when I say it's equally bad, it's really
at the
that
bottom
bad.
tier. Okay. Heavy lifting stunts your growth.
Heavy lifting stunts your growth if proper form and technique is not followed. Otherwise, it doesn't.
Okay.
I would promote heavy lifting even for a 4-year-old today.
Really?
Yes. Obviously, heavy as per what a 4-year-old can lift.
Yeah. Surgery is the only solution for orthopedic issues.
No, absolutely false. There's so many options out there.
Okay.
And I would like to explore each and every option unless a patient requires surgery. So definitely no.
You need to drink milk for strong bone health.
You don't. Absolutely not. That's a massive myth.
Yeah.
There are children today who are absolutely hating milk.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely fine in their growth and overall development. So you don't need to drink milk at all. Yeah.
Rest cannot be substituted when it comes to any injury.
100% true. Once again, I'm sorry I need to give terms and conditions for every answer I'm giving, but rest of the correct duration. Okay. If you're going to rest more than what you're supposed to rest, it's again a negative. But rest for recovery, very underrated.
That's it. That's all we have. And thank you so much. I've learned a lot.
I'm glad.
2 or 3 things about, I think, just especially weightlifting. In that context, I do lift weights. So I love it. I love the process. But even just simple things that you can do from a nutrition mindset, physical body perspective, a lot of clarity. So thank you so much for doing this. And I hope people start lifting weights after watching this episode.
I think lifting weights and getting a DEXA scan. These should be the 2 biggest takeaways today. I think it can be life-changing. Absolutely.
Okay. If there are 2 things that you could take away, it's this. Absolutely. It's to lift weights and get that scan done.
Get that scan done. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for being the best community, and we'll see you in the next one.